Hello everyone, Mr. A here again, day 4. I've rewatched some of my videos and I feel like I'm doing too much talking at the beginning, so I'm going to get right to it today. We have to introduce a couple winners, announce a couple winners I should say. We had Salt in his shoes and Waiting for Pumpsy. Sorry, let me get this back sideways for you. And that one was a close vote. Yesterday's matchup, Little Roja Riding Hood and Nothing Ever Happens on 90th Street, also close matchup. So it looks like we had, let me see, I think I got you guys upside down. Our winners ended up being Salt in His Shoes and Pumpsy were tied. So my son voted for his favorite as the tiebreaker. As I think I mentioned in my first video, he would be our tiebreaker. And he voted for Salt in His Shoes. So Salt in His Shoes will move on to the next round. And yesterday's vote was, sorry, motion at my front door again. Also close, but Nothing Ever Happens on 90th Street is our winner. So I'm going to set that up, set the camera up so you guys can see me post those, and then we'll get right to our stories today. There we go. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue stick on each side, get them up there so we can get moving today. So again, I appreciate you all watching. I hope that some of your students are taking AR tests and things like that. If they're taking AR tests and getting points, that's outstanding. If they're not, oh well, I hope they're enjoying watching and listening anyway. So Salt in His Shoes moves on by 1 vote, and Nothing Ever Happens on 90th Street also moves on by 1 vote. Okay. So our 2 books today are Long May She Wave by Kristen Fulton, the true story of Carolyn Pickersgill and her star-spangled creation. And then this other one was on that list of picture books from recommended for middle schoolers. It's called These Hands, written by Margaret H. Mason. So I've looked through both of them. Fairly quick stories, so we will go ahead and get started. Our first book today is Long May She Wave. So I'm going to do my best to give you guys a good angle here today. Again, improvements each day for me, I think. So like I said, trying to get right to it, keep our videos a little shorter, and do less talking. Long May She Wave. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that all these YouTubers say. I will also put the links for both of these books in my description below, and that way you can find them easier if you want to have them in your home library. And as I'm trying to go quicker, I'm going slower because I can't get the page to turn. Okay, here we go. Got it. Over Under. 13-year-old Caroline Pickersgill stitched 350,000 tiny weaves. She came from a family of the best flag makers. These pages are sticky. Open Close. Caroline's mother snipped 400 yards of fabric. She had trouble fitting the 6-pointed star onto the blue square. With a slice from the scissors, she created a 5-pointed star that nestled in perfect rows. Caroline's grandmother ironed 15 stars, each more than 2 feet wide. She had made George Washington's first flag when he fought during the American Revolutionary War. In 1812, America went to war again with the British. For a year they fought. For a year the British bombed, burned, and blasted their way through the new country. Preparing for the worst, colonels and generals from Fort McHenry at Baltimore's harbor asked Caroline and her mother to make a flag so large that the British could see it from miles away. For 6 weeks, Caroline stitched her first flag. Roll Push. She worked beside her mother and grandmother, but this flag was so large that all of the seamstresses in the house were called to help. Flip Pool. Caroline's cousins, Eliza and Margaret Young, as well as Grace Wisher, a 13-year-old indentured servant, toiled through the hot days and nights, snipping and sewing. After she stitched the last stitch, Caroline watched American soldiers raise her flag up the flagpole at Fort McHenry. For a year, Caroline's flag whipped in the wind. Would anyone doubt that this was America with a flag so large? But then something happened. Caroline's world changed. As smoke billowed in the air, the British soldiers had burned Washington, D.C. Now rumors spread like wildfire that the British were headed to Fort McHenry. Could it be true? In the dawn's early light on September 12, 1814, Caroline woke from her sleep. Shuffling to the window, she looked out over Baltimore. The streets were bare, the homes were empty, and the silence was deafening. The British were close to Baltimore. Neighbors who had once proudly hailed the flag and pledged to defend the United States fled. But Caroline stayed. The flag that she sewed was more than red, white, and blue. It was a symbol of this new nation, the United States. At the twilight's last gleaming, British ships sailed into the harbor. Banding together, they formed a battery of cannons pointing toward the fort at the southern tip of Baltimore. Early the next morning, the silence surrounding Caroline's house broke. The British admiral ordered the American soldiers to take down those broad stripes and bright stars. Fort McHenry prepared for their perilous fight. Caroline heard the tapping from snare drums. She listened to the loud tooting from bugle players. Thumping from horse hooves echoed through her Baltimore streets. Over the ramparts, American soldiers watched the flag curl in the muggy morning air. Bang! Boom! Caroline searched the bay. Her flag was gallantly streaming. The rocket's red glare lit up the sky from morning till night. Bombs bursting in air rained over the British fleet. Bam! Each explosion gave enough light for Caroline to see through the night that the flag was still there. After 25 hours, the last cannon fired and silence returned. Peering out her window, Caroline waited for the smoke to clear. She had to know, did that star-spangled banner still wave? Would America still be the land of the free? When the swirling dust and debris finally settled, Caroline saw it. Her first flag waving goodbye to the British who were leaving the home of the brave. And that's the end. So again, that is Long May She Wave. And our second book of the day, These Hands, written by Margaret H. Mason. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and make sure you vote, please. I think that's the hardest thing. I got people watching, but forgetting to vote. If you have access to my Facebook or Instagram, you can vote that way as well. I've even got some text messages from friends with their votes that don't have YouTube accounts, so that works just as well. All right, These Hands by Margaret H. Mason. Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to tie a triple bowline knot in 3 seconds flat? Well, I can still help a young fellow learn to tie his shoes. Yes, I can. Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to make the ivory sing like a sparrow in the springtime? Well, I can still show a young fellow how to play heart and soul. Yes, I can. Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to pluck the ace of spades right out of thin air? Well, I can still teach a young fellow how to do a waterfall shuffle. Yes, I can. Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to throw a curveball faster than a dive bomb in honeybee? Well, I can still help a young fellow learn to hit a line drive. Yes, I can. Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands were not allowed to mix the bread dough in the Wonder Bread factory? Did you know these hands were not allowed to touch the bread dough in the Wonder Bread factory? These hands were only allowed to sweep the floors and work the line and load the trucks, because the bosses said white people would not want to eat bread touched by these hands. Well, these hands joined with other hands, and we wrote our petitions. It's a good vocabulary word for you guys. And we carried our signs. And we raised our voices together. Now, any hands can mix the bread dough, no matter their color. Now, any hands can touch the bread dough, no matter their color. Yes, they can. Look at these hands, Grandpa. These hands used to not be able to tie a shoe. Or play the piano. Or shuffle the cards. Or hit the ball. Now I can do all that, plus bake a fine loaf of bread, can't I? Why, yes you can, Joseph. Look at those hands. Those hands can do anything. Anything at all in this whole wide world. Yes, you can. And I think that's the end. All right, so these hands, book 2. So again, our matchup today, long may she wave, and these hands. So please go vote, like, subscribe, share it with your teachers, with other students, friends, whatever. We need to fill up this bracket, so we're going to do it each day until we fill it up. So once we have the matchup here, then we'll have our next round matchup there. We already have our next round matchup over there with the Bad Case of Stripes and Nothing Ever Happens on 90th Street. Then we'll move down to our lower bracket tomorrow. So we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more days to complete round 1. And then we will be moving on to the Elite 8. All right, we'll go from 16 books down to 8. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. Again, please like, share, subscribe. If you want the links to these books, the 2 books I read today, I will add the links in the description so they're easy for you to find. Most of the books I've looked at are fairly cheap. So again, I'm just giving you guys another option during this time that we're in shelter in place, and I hope you are enjoying them. I hope your children are enjoying them. Please don't forget to vote. We need to make sure we get enough votes to really make it a good matchup, good contest. So share it with your friends, share the link on Facebook and things like that to kind of spread the word. I know that my community here in Gilroy is doing that, And I have some people that are watching every video now, every day, and looking forward to what the next book matchup is going to be. So thank you all again for taking the time. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.